Hello everyone, and welcome to my General Hospital official channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Curtis tells Willow the truth after Nina forbids Drew from marrying her daughter. Carly gives her brother some advice, Nina tells Ava what Willow has done, and Lucas confronts Sunny about Marco on General Hospital today. Carly, who is concerned about their family's safety in light of what transpired with Marco, meets Sunny at the Metro Court pool. Sunny discloses that her brother was the one who reported him to the police. Michael welcomes his parents as he and Wiley arrive for their pool lesson. Carly tells Sunny that she finds it hard to believe Lucas went to the police, and he takes Wiley to his lesson. Sunny claims that Marco's appearance and fabrication of his whereabouts prevented him from being caught. He reveals that he and Sidwell have reached a consensus. Does that imply that her family is no longer in danger? Carly queries. Michael shows there and wants to find out for himself. When Michael joins them, Sunny tells them that things will get better because Sidwell has backed off Measure C. Despite the danger, Michael is still in favor of Sasha and Daisy leaving town. Sunny can't help but wonder whether he and Willow could have reached an agreement if his son hadn't been hurt. That was impossible, though, since Drew exploited his injury. Carly asks how Michael is handling the fact that Willow and Drew are getting married today. Michael claims that he is aware that his relationship with Willow is finished and that he cannot trust her with the children. Michael explains that because Willow is so far gone, she believes he is punishing her and is unable to comprehend that he is protecting the children. Talking about their predicament, Marco and Lucas awaken in Marco's bed. Marco concurs with Lucas' admission that he might grow accustomed to this. They talk about Marco's ordeal. Lucas claims that he was afraid for him and that he would have been far more upset than he ought to be at this stage of their relationship if he hadn't returned. Marco remembers how he realized he was unique and could be his chance at love when they first met in Miami. He declares that nothing will separate them. Not to be misunderstood, Lucas expresses his satisfaction that they did not share a bed on that first night. They can now see how this develops. After going missing for a few days, Lucas questions whether he needs to check in at work. Marco reassures him that his superiors are aware that he is not expected. Lucas makes a stand when Lucas and Marco see Sunny, Carly, and Michael. They decide to return to the room instead of going to the pool. He does not wish to be the cause of Lucas's family arguments. Lucas heads in the direction of his family after declaring that he must do this for himself. When Sunny sees Lucas, he says he has something to do and begins to leave. Lucas goes after him. Knowing that the day will be difficult for the children, Carly talks to Michael about it. They will be all right, she tells him. Michael observes that Wiley's lesson is soon finished and that he must inform him about his mother's situation. Given that he took Marco in the first place, Lucas cynically thanks Sunny for sending him the key, as though he were doing him a favor. Sunny admits to Lucas that he doesn't know who the players are or what's happening. Don't contact the police the next time he's worried about Marco, he's fine. Sunny leaves. Lucas then questions Carly about Marco's illness and how Sunny told him that since he doesn't know what's happening, he has no right to be angry. Sunny is correct, according to Carly, and he shouldn't have called the police. Will Kai and Trina get back together? Kai encounters Trina at the cafe. Although he is aware that she feels deceived by him, his feelings for her have not altered, and he would do anything to restore their previous relationship. Why is he wearing a suit? She asks. He explains that he is attending the wedding of Willow and Drew. According to Trina, this is the reason they are unable to return. Can Portia's career be saved by Curtis? Curtis visits Portia's workplace. When she texted him last night to let him know she was staying here, he inquired as to whether it was for work or because she didn't want to go home. She explains that because this is probably her last day at GH, she wants to make the most of her time here. Today, she will be resigning. She informs him that she informed Willow about Drew's blackmail and that the only way she can go with her dignity is to quit. Curtis encourages her to stay and give him another day, even though she requested Trina to come over and explain everything. Curtis speculates that Drew might not have Willow to battle for very long. If so, he might be able to avoid using blackmail. According to Portia, Drew is the type of person who would simply torture them much more if he lost Willow. Maybe he knows something, because Curtis says Willow might cancel the wedding. Even if it means betraying a friend, he vows to stand up for her and keep her job. Portia isn't paying attention. Although it's unlikely, Curtis believes that if his plan is successful, Drew might simply move to Washington and forget about them. When Trina shows up, she asks her parents what they need to discuss with her. Since they are aware that her mother ended her relationship with Kai, Curtis claims that she was simply being too protective. According to Portia, she is welcome to discuss that with them at any time. Since she just ran into Kai, Trina acknowledges that their timing couldn't be more ideal. She believes him when he says he still cares about her, but she's disappointed and hurt. But she still has feelings for him. She claims that Kai doesn't recognize Drew for who he truly is and believes that what he did was appropriate. According to Curtis, Kai must understand that sometimes you have to make concessions for the ones you care about because he broke his pledge to her. Having said that, Curtis has to run because he has an assignment to complete. When Trina is by herself, she asks her mother what the real issue is and what her father would do. Alexis visits Drew's and requests that he rethink his plans. Although he is aware of her reservations about him and Willow, Drew reassures her that Scout will thrive in their marriage. He has no doubt that Willow will soon get custody of her children again, and they will move to Washington, D.C. Since she is her link to her mother, he swears he won't keep her away from Scout. Since Scout needs to get used to Willow before a major move, Alexis advises Drew to wait to tell Scout until this move is finalized. Although he is aware that Scout loves Willow, Drew concurs. Alexis desires his happiness. She knows that he will always choose Scout's happiness over his own, so she wants him to be happy. When Scout appears wearing her dress, Drew remarks on how lovely she looks and expresses his pride in her for bringing Willow into their family. When they all move in, Scout is eager for Danny, Rocco, Grandma, and her aunts to come visit frequently. She also knows her father will be pleased. Alexis looks at Drew as they embrace. Kai shows up later with Drew's passport. Now dressed in his suit, Drew is giving Willow a surprise French honeymoon. He believes Willow has been affected by everything that has been happening, and this will help her forget her problems. He recalls Willow telling him about her actions on the 4th of July. Kai acknowledges that he and Trina split up as they talk about love. Because of what he did for him, Drew is aware of this. Although he promised Trina that he wouldn't tell him about her parents' plans. Kai acknowledges that he was unable to keep his mouth shut since Trina's parents were going to accuse him of something he hadn't done. Nina realizes when Albrecht enters the chapel, he bumps into Liz. Albrecht swallows her contempt for Liz for today, and they both acknowledge that Maxie somehow did a fantastic job organizing everything from New York. She believes it's unfortunate that all of these lovely flowers have to be given up for a wedding that would never work out. Nina gives Willow a borrowed bracelet in the bridal room. Willow says she owes her mother everything and appreciates her for making this day possible. Nina and Willow are joined in the bride's room by Liz and Albrecht. Willow expresses gratitude for their presence. Liz follows Maxie's directions and removes Willow to inspect her bouquet. Willow seems very joyful, Nina says Albrecht. Albrecht observes that she smiled the same way when she found that Sasha and Daisy had moved out of Port Charles. She cannot participate in tormenting a newborn because she is a doctor, according to Albrecht. Nina considers Drew's denial that he tortured Daisy, then returns to Willow's response when she learned that Sasha and Daisy had left. She starts to lose it. When Scout and Alexis show up, everyone compliments Scout on her clothing. Scout has a gift for Willow as well. Nina, upset, leaves a gift for Willow in the car and says she's going to leave for a moment. The gift, a picture of them, is opened by Willow. Willow adores it and is eager to join her family. When Scout asks if Willow wants her to call her mother, Alexis breaks down in tears. Willow assures Scout that her mother will always be her mother and will always be a part of her, regardless of what she chooses to name her. They give each other hugs. They belong to a horrible club, and Albrecht apologizes to Alexis for the loss of her daughter. Liz believes that they should leave Willow to prepare. Willow requests that her mother be sent in. Liz remains to assist Willow in getting dressed. When Ava gets to the chapel, she sees Nina crying. She advises her companion to calm down since although things may be hectic right now, they will eventually calm down. She is informed by Nina that the situation is worse than she anticipated. Nina shares the situation involving Sasha and Daisy with Ava. While Nina acknowledges that she fears it was Willow, Ava believes this has to do with Sunny and his adversaries. According to Nina, Willow has access to the hospital's nursery, is familiar with the estate, and is aware of the locations of the cameras. She could have been responsible for all of Daisy's enigmatic events. It seems a stretch to Ava. Despite her well-known kindness, sweetness, and compassion, Willow has made mistakes. Willow smiled when Nina told her that Sasha had left town with Daisy, as though she was overjoyed that her plan had succeeded. Lucas explains to his sister at the pool in the show's closing moments that he never consented to her code of silence about Sunny and that they are divorced, so why is she harboring Sunny's secrets? Is Donna to blame for this? Yet, Carly says partially. Lucas reminds her of everything she lost because of Sunny, including Morgan. Carly refuses to talk to him about her son's passing. She instructs Lucas to examine himself. He nearly reconciled with Brad after his return, but now he's rushed into bed with Marco, whom he hardly knows. Carly claims that the situation is not so clear-cut and that he is unable to understand it because all of his attention is on Marco, the first person he has fallen for since Brad. She leaves furiously. Sunny pays Marco a visit in his room. Sunny tells Marco to keep out of his way and says he doesn't expect a thank you. Portia and Trina GH in her office. Portia tells Trina that she and her father are devastated by what happened with Kai, but she is unsure of what Curtis needs to do. Instead of doing what she believes her parents want her to do, she should do what is best for herself going forward. She shouldn't have to deal with their issues. She also serves as a reminder that her people are fallible and fall short of her own and other people's standards. Michael informs Wiley that his mother is getting married to Uncle Drew today as they are back at the pool. Wiley snaps that's not what he wants. He desires his mother to wed his father. Even though Michael is aware of his distress, he and his mother will always love each other. They give each other hugs. At Drew's, Kai wishes him and Willow luck but says he will see him at the church. He is aware of how much they have endured. That, in Drew's opinion, will make today even more delightful. In the church, Nina informs Ava that Drew has mistreated her daughter and that she has been blind to Willow for far too long. She is finally finished because she can no longer tolerate this situation. Nina leaves abruptly. Willow is getting ready when Curtis enters the room. He interrupts her and explains that last summer, when she was falling for Drew, her mother and Drew were having an affair before and after the 4th of July. She says he can't be here, and if this is about Drew blackmailing Portia. Sunny tells Marco that if he keeps out of his father's business, he won't have any issues on the upcoming General Hospital. It's all about peaceful cohabitation, Sidwell tells Lucy. I guess I managed to surprise you, Molly tells Cody at the pool, and Christina adds there, this is exactly what I was afraid of. At the church, Drew assures Scout that they will all live happily ever after. Did you and Drew have an affair? Willow asks Nina. Friday, July 25th. General Hospital spoilers. Willow confronts Nina about the Drew affair, Sunny's rules. Molly surprises Cody. According to General Hospital teasers for Friday, July 25th, Sunny Corinthos shares some rules with the community while Willow Tate confronts Nina Reeves about her affair with Drew Kane. Let's talk about what's coming up in Port Charles since Molly Lansing Davis will also surprise Cody Bell. Sunny will first make it plain to Marco Rios in Friday's GH episode that he will be safe as long as he doesn't interfere with Jen Sidwell's affairs. Even though he doesn't mean it, Sidwell will exaggerate the idea of peaceful coexistence with Sunny during his talk with Lucy Coe. It is certain that Sidwell will retaliate against Sunny, but he must be calculated and consider his options. It appears that the entire Sunny and Sidwell affair will lead to even more animosity between Carly Spencer and Lucas Jones. After that, Molly will run into Cody at the pool, where she will say or do something unexpected. Molly's smile will give the impression that she was able to surprise Cody, and as we witness more of their connection, he will return the smile. But it appears that later on, Christina Corinthos Davis will glare at Cody and mutter that something is exactly what she was afraid of. Christina might have a serious issue with Cody's apparent development of feelings for Ava while he is on his seduction quest. Michael Corinthos will eventually confide in Christina as well, so he can discuss how difficult it has been for him since Sasha Gilmore Corbin left PC with Daisy Gilmore. After her most recent encounter with Nina, Ava Jerome will be shaken up. Ava will be aware that there will be significant turmoil soon since Nina stomped off after deciding she could no longer allow Drew to damage Willow. Willow will respond to Curtis Ashford's news in the meantime, as he recently informed her that Drew had slept with her mother during the previous summer. Drew was having an affair with Nina without Willow's awareness as she was falling for him. Willow will question Nina about whether or not Curtis' spilling is real since she needs some direct answers from her. Did you have an affair with Drew? The preview footage from Friday shows Willow demanding to know in a furious manner. While Nina may emotionally acknowledge that it is true, she may also pressure Willow to reveal her own secret as a Daisy stalker now that she has discovered it. As the week comes to an end, there will be a lot to discuss and debate. Nina will try desperately to reach her daughter since she doesn't like the person Willow has become as a result of Drew. Naturally, Nina will also hope Willow would overlook her deceit, given how determined she has been to maintain their relationship. Drew will assure Scout Kane that they will all live happily ever after, but it will depend on what Willow does next. The wedding will go on, but Sidwell appears ready to decline Lucy Coe's invitation to attend the celebrations. Will Willow end up getting married or will she dump Drew at the altar? Anyway, now that he's determined Willow must be Daisy's stalker, Drew has something he may use to manipulate her. According to General Hospital previews, Willow will have a lot to think about as the commotion of the wedding day continues, so tune in. Lulu at General Hospital, is she being replaced? After Brooke Lynn unintentionally revealed to Rocco that Britt was the one who gave birth to him, Lulu went crazy on General Hospital. The fact that the teenager has contacted Liesl to inquire about her daughter, who, as we now know, is alive, makes the situation much more explosive. Is Rocco trying to use Britt to take Lulu's place, at least in his imagination? No. Actor Finn Carr tells Soap Opera Digest, "I don't think Rocco is seeing her as any less his mom, despite his anger toward his mother and Dante's strict opposition to him having anything to do with the often irrational Dr. Albrecht. I don't think his curiosity is a telltale sign that he's going to start to favor Britt more than Lulu." Despite his genuine and intense interest in the former Britch, the child isn't attempting to replace his mother. The question is more along the lines of, wouldn't you like to know about the woman who carried you to term and under the most confusing conditions possible? It's unclear how Britt will react, but Carr says, "I don't think he's going to be wanting to think of her as his mom or think of himself as Britt's son." That one has always been a wild card. General Hospital spoilers, Britt's secret baby is revealed, a heir on the way, sparked by Jason's paternal instincts? According to General Hospital spoilers, Jason Morgan is at the center of a bombshell this week that has the potential to completely alter his future. Port Charles is no stranger to shocking truths. Jason has embraced his role as Danny Morgan's only parent since Sam McCall's untimely death, displaying a kind, family-oriented side that has viewers in awe. However, there are rumors that Britt Westbourne, who was thought to be dead, is actually alive and concealing a kid with Jason. Is a real Morgan heir hinted at by their previous liaison in Jason's present role as a phony father with Sasha's child? Prepare yourself for a week filled with surprises that will astound you. Old flames are stirred by Jason's dad vibes. Jason has been winning people over as Danny's loving father by sacrificing his tough exterior for heartfelt lessons and school runs. Fans are enamored with this softer side, particularly after he pretended to be the father of Sasha Gilmore Corbin's child, Daisy Corinthos Gilmore, in order to keep her safe. Fans were raving about that brief plot, which now seems to be a hint at something more significant. There are rumors that Britt, who disappeared following her alleged death, may have been carrying Jason's child during their sexy relationship. Is she hiding and raising a Jason kid in secret? Everyone is wondering whether fate is hinting at something because of the timing of Jason's paternal glow-up. Jason's world turns upside down at the airport this week after a startling sighting at the airport. He was waiting to board his flight after safely escorting Sasha and Daisy out of the country when he noticed a woman who bore a striking resemblance to Britt racing to catch her plane. He stopped wondering if she was still alive. Given how strikingly similar they are, Jason's and our minds must be racing. Was his status as Daisy's pretend father an indication that he was a real kid with Britt? Carly Spencer might be concerned that this sighting could put him in jeopardy if she learns of his shaken condition. Will a secret heir be revealed by Britt's return? An exciting journey begins with Jason's encounter at the airport. Is this a twisted plot by an old enemy, or will he find this Brit lookalike and discover a hidden child, establishing his status as a family man? Just as Jason is searching for answers, Sonny Corinthos could drag him away with his mob issues with Jen Sidwell. Why is Brit hiding if she is still alive, and is she shielding a child? Was this shocking revelation hinted at in Jason's Sasha storyline? Watch this space for more GH teasers and info, as well as to find out if Jason is following a ghost or if a Morgan successor shows up. Fans, what are your thoughts? Has Brit returned with a child? Sonny's warning, Willow's fury, Drew's fantasy, and wedding nightmare. Will the doomed wedding continue on the next GH? Willow finds out about her mom's relationship with Drew. On the day of their wedding, Drew Kane and Willow Tate encounter trouble. Lucas Jones and Carly Spencer are at odds. In addition, Lucy Coe extends an invitation. The wedding drama of Willow Tate. Let's begin with Willow, who is about to wed Drew. But Liesl Orbrecht is aware that Willow is seriously ill. She also demands that the tie be cut immediately. The consequences from the wedding appears to be imminent. Willow asks Nina Reeves to respond to her in a room. Did you have an affair with Drew? Drew Kane's assurance. While with Drew, he promises Scout Kane something. The congressman assures the young girl in a sneak peek that they will enjoy a happy life together. Sonny Corinthos warning. According to Friday, July 25th General Hospital spoilers, Sonny Corinthos encounters Marco Rios. Fans know that something always happens in soap operas, even though the mob boss claims that you won't be touched as long as you stay out of your father's business. Jen Sidwell might place Marco in a precarious predicament. Sidwell will also be waiting for Sonny to get retribution. Additionally, fans will witness Lucas and Carly argue over Sonny. Christina Corinthos Davis is quietly observing someone in the meantime. Michael Corinthos gives Christina some information that same day. Cody Bell is taken by surprise by Molly Lansing Davis. Ava Jerome is shaken in the meanwhile. Cody and Christina must exercise caution in their plan. To be honest, I'd hate to see Molly suffer another injury. Sidwell also explains to Lucy Coe that peaceful coexistence is the key. However, the preview clip shows Lucy looking genuinely shaken. Additionally, it is hinted that Lucy will eventually send out an invitation. I wonder if Sidwell will somehow ensnare Lucy in a plot to exact revenge on Sonny. Sidwell appears to have little concern for anyone else, yet he does care about his children. Fans witnessed how swiftly he rid of his girls throughout the Africa narrative. Lucy may therefore also become collateral damage, in my opinion. Curtis Ashford sat silently in his office, his jaw clenched and his eyes unfocused, the only sound coming from the hospital air conditioner. Every moment of the affair between Nina Reeves and Drew Quartermaine, which had been long hidden beneath layers of tension, quiet, and humiliation, was repeated in his head. It had not occurred to him for months, if not longer. It felt urgent now, though. Uncooked. Like the final piece missing from a distorted picture that had now come to light. And Curtis was going to use it this time. Dr. Portia Robinson, his wife, was being pulled into an ethically ambiguous situation that she had never requested to enter. Drew had gone too far after walking through Port Charles with righteous wrath for the past few months. He had coerced Portia into fabricating a toxicology report on Michael Corinthos by threatening her. On the outskirts of Zurich, where the remote estate behind wrought iron gates was enveloped in quiet, a cool wind rustled through the trees. Liesl Orbrecht and a man who was thought to be dead by almost everyone in Port Charles were standing face to face in a room with flickering shadows from a fire that was burning low in a grand marble hearth. Cassadine, Victor. As new information blended with old recollections, the tension was high. Chaos, treachery, and death ruled Greenland, and time had gone since that fateful encounter. The world had assumed Victor was one of the dead. However, Victor had once again escaped death, as only a Cassadine could. For Liesl, the last few months had been a gradual disintegration of everything she had thought was stable. She was hollowed down by the loss of her daughter, Britt Westbourne. She had become a quieter, more elusive shadow of herself as a result of grief. She had vanished from view, fleeing the town where she had formerly wandered with such assurance. Nobody had any idea where she had disappeared to. Her quiet had concealed a more sinister reality, but no one had noticed. For Britt wasn't really gone. Instead of using coercion or threats as he had in the past, Victor had quietly made a comeback into her life with something even more potent, a possibility. He had shown her the video, grainy at first, then sharp. A confused, bruised, but breathing young woman. Her stroll. Her tone. She chuckled. The world had stopped for Liesel. She was familiar with her child. Knew how she moved, how her shoulders sloped, and how her head tilted slightly in confusion. Britt was the woman. Victor asserted that in her last moments, she had been rescued from the frigid grasp of fate and dragged from the verge of death. How precisely? Liesel was unaware. Perhaps she didn't want to inquire. Perhaps a tiny part of her had wished that her bright daughter had never really perished on the Port Charles docks. For years, there had been rumors of Victor's secret endeavors, including clones, experiments, the control of disease, and medical innovations that straddled the boundary between science and fiction. It sounded unfeasible. Not possible. However, Victor also managed to survive Greenland. Why not use two Cassadine tricks if one could deceive everyone? Rumors had quietly started to circulate back in Port Charles. Something bigger was at work, as evidenced by Professor Henry Dalton's odd demeanor, the courier no one had seen, and rumors of an unidentified boss pulling strings behind the scenes. Something firmly established. Risky. And made a connection. Was that Victor, the man Dalton worked for, always out of sight, always one step ahead? That was how it was starting to appear. With its indications of genetic manipulation, Dalton's project also alluded to something that bore the Cassadine fingerprint. The appropriate questions were beginning to be asked by those near the storm. However, they lacked the answers. Not quite yet. Because the greatest secret of her life was being kept by the one person who might possibly supply them, Liesel. Victor was working with her. Not because I'm afraid. Not because of some perverse romantic duty. But out of necessity and thankfulness. She had been offered the unimaginable by Victor. Britt's terminal diagnosis was reversed, creating the appearance that she was still alive. Reliving all of her conversations with Victor on her daughter's health had kept Liesel up at night. Too soon, he had known too much. He had pretended to be interested in rare genetic illnesses. He had attended accidental meetings with experts. And it was all beginning to come together with the symposium, that strange invitation to a phony event for hereditary illnesses. Victor was aware. It had all been planned by him. It's possible that Britt's Huntington's diagnosis was never accurate. Maybe it was a well-planned lie to make Liesel desperate and compel her to accept Victor's assistance. Or maybe Victor had forced Britt into a clinical treatment that was so covert that it didn't exist on paper because she had actually displayed early symptoms. In any case, the timeline was accurate. She passed away after her condition deteriorated too quickly. And now, she had returned. Someone that resembled her, anyway. At first, Liesel had been skeptical. Had requested DNA. 4 responses. Victor had never given her a direct affirmation and had been cautious and reticent. However, he had made a suggestion. Suggested that Britt might not have been the woman who died in Port Charles. That she had been replaced by someone else, a doppelganger, a clone, whatever it was. The words were never spoken by him. However, Liesel was aware of the secrets of the Cassadine dance. You let the stillness to fill in the details without stating what it was. She could tell by the silence that this Britt, whom she had imprisoned in the Swiss facility behind guarded walls just days before, was genuine. Not a copy. Not a duplicate. Her daughter. She had been offered the impossible by Victor. He now demanded something in exchange. His departure had not diminished his ambition. Conversely, it had become more refined and changed. He stopped talking about taking over the world. Instead, he talked about reconfiguring relationships, leveraging loyalty, debt, and power through medical advancements, and influencing others. Bloodlines were the object of the man's play, who had previously experimented with diseases. Has a legacy. And his partner, whether he liked it or not, was Liesel. They plotted together in the dark. While the old bridges burned in silence, they constructed new ones. Liesel worked covertly, gaining access to hospitals, therapies, and restricted information by utilizing her reputation as a doctor. With his old network still in place, Victor took care of logistics. They posed a threat. Quiet. And efficient. Meanwhile, Port Charles continued unaware. However, that wouldn't endure. Because true or not, Britt wasn't satisfied with staying concealed for all time. She was getting up. Seeking clarification. She was not yet fully informed. She had fragmented memories, missing pieces, and inexplicable time gaps. Liesel observed her daughter battle with memories that didn't fit the present. She soothed her, comforted her, and assured her that the truth will eventually be revealed. However, truth was more valuable than money in the Cassadine realm. And nobody freely shared it. That equilibrium was certain to break in the upcoming weeks. In Port Charles, too many questions were being raised. Inquisitive people had started chatting about Liesel's extended absence. Some questioned why there had been no concrete proof of Victor's death and why no one had seen his body. Others wondered why Dalton's courier was anonymous and invisible, as well as why the enigmatic packages were being sent via the ancient Cassadine lines. Britt was the response. She was also returning home. Whether or not Port Charles was prepared. Shock, skepticism, and accusations would be present. Some would give her a hug. Others would become icy. Britt's homecoming would not sit well with Carly Spencer in particular, especially if Jason Morgan became involved once more. The tension was already imaginable to Liesel. She didn't care, though. Her daughter was back. And despite Victor's perverse intentions, Liesel would support her through whatever storm Britt's return caused. But even in her quietest times, Liesel questioned whether she had made the correct choice. Had she allowed grief to prevent her from pursuing a more sinister goal? Was Britt being used as a pawn in a bigger scheme, and was Victor playing tricks on her again? She was unable to confirm. Not quite yet. However, one thing was for sure. Victor Cassadine was still alive in Port Charles. Furthermore, Britt Westbourne wasn't a phantom. She was authentic. Inhaling. And she was about to enter that door once more. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, so please don't forget to subscribe my channel and don't miss any update.